Hello, Tom Becky here with the latest edition of the New Theory Podcast. Today we got a very special guest, CEO Dave Cantin of Dave Cantin Group. He is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, CEO of the Dave Cantin Group. They are an automotive merger and acquisition firm. I got a lot of questions about that. He's born and raised in the Garden State of New Jersey. He started out like a salesman, like myself, not in the automotive industry, but he a salesman in the automotive industry. And today he owns one of the biggest automotive merger and acquisition companies throughout the country. He also doubles back as a motivational speaker, and God bless, a cancer survivor. He actively raises money for and donates pediatric cancer causes. Lastly, fun fact, he's also married to Dino Manzo, previously of the Housewives in New Jersey. Dave Cantin, welcome to New Theory Podcast. How are you doing today?
Good morning. How are you today? And thank you so much for having me on. How are you?
It's my pleasure. Okay, so where in Jersey are you from?
Monmouth County, Freehold, New Jersey.
Beautiful. Okay, so group of Monmouth County, Jersey guy.
Yes.
Give us your first foray into the automotive industry. Why did you pick that industry? And tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely incredible story. So graduating high school, literally the morning after graduation, I'm going through the Asbury Park Press. It's a local Monmouth County newspaper, right? I'm taking you all the way back to 1997. And I see this incredible ad in the classifieds for a car salesman, unlimited income. So here I am, I grab that newspaper and I go drive right down to the car dealership right on Route 9 in Freehold, New Jersey. Yeah. And I walk in there with this ad and said, I'm here to apply for the job. And here I am, this young 18-year-old guy, full of piss and vinegar, as they say, right? And everyone's laughing at me, saying, you're too young for the job. We don't take unexperienced salespeople, and, you have to have experience to work here. And so I'm sitting there going, wait, I want this. I want this unlimited income. Come on, I'm here. Let's go. So finally, after refusing not to leave, a general manager walks over to me and says, how can I help you? And I went through the whole spiel of how I'm here. I want to learn everything. I want this unlimited income. Help me, help you. Let's go. I'll never call out sick. I don't take vacations. I'll be the first one in, last one out. Yep. And he says, I'm sorry, but we only hire experienced salespeople. So I said, I'm not leaving until you give me the chance. Wow. I kid you not. I sat in that car dealership for about 8 hours.
Love it.
Until he walked back over to me and said, you're still here? Okay. And the moral of the story is 8 hours later, he sat down, gave me an opportunity. Lucky for that today. One of my greatest mentors to this day still. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, I worked there probably 12 hours a day. I was there 3-4 years, climbed the ladder, learned everything about the automotive industry. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. Really understanding how to benefit a car buyer. We're not just selling automobiles, you're selling yourself. And I learned at a very young age how to really just have that charisma and just build that influence around our customer base. And slowly but surely, I just rose up the ladder from selling cars to doing finance and insurance, sales manager, until one day there was no position left other than the general manager that hired me. Right. And that was about 21, 22 years old. And then I went off on my own and partnered with one of the former New York Giants, Brad Benson. Oh, yeah. He won the Super Bowl in '86, bought a few car dealerships. Him and I partnered up and built one of the largest Hyundai dealerships in the world, an incredible large automotive platform. Nice. And sold out of that in 2014, 15, and was always involved in the finance world. I always loved being involved in the finance world. I kind of self-taught myself, but along that way, right, was just a huge learning lesson, I would like to say. One of the greatest lessons I've ever had in my entire life. And that's really just being able to live, really understanding how to live in the moment and live in the now. And, back in 2011, as I would say, living the American dream, I at that time had an incredible, beautiful 1-year-old son, 2-year-old daughter, 14 months apart to the day. The American dream, the American dream, building a new home, right? Incredible business. And with that being said, I training to run the Boston Marathon. I do a ton of philanthropic work.
Yeah.
It was for Hyundai Hope on Wheels,
Oh, wow.
and a 26.2-mile Boston Marathon. It was an incredible venture. We've done it a few times, but here I am getting in shape for it.
Yeah.
And in 2011, as I'm a few weeks into it, I felt myself feeling a great deal of fatigue.
Oh.
So nobody knows your body better than you. Right. So as I'm working hard and trying to be the best individual I can in all aspects, I knew something was holding me back. So I went to my doctor and I said, Doc, something's just not right. Something's not right. So I said, give me a full blood workup, whatever you could do. I felt it inside me. Something wasn't right. So I get a call 48 hours later saying, Dave, we need you to come in. Never a good call to have. Right. I said, Doc, I'm okay. Yeah. I said, Doc, just tell me what's going on. Talk to me. What's happened? So the doctor says, no, I can't do that. I need you to come in. Moral of the story is about 6 hours later, I'm diagnosed with leukemia. Oh, so I chose to be treated at Weill Cornell Medical Center, a phenomenal hospital in New York City. And I had the most incredible doctor, Dr. Gail Robos, director of leukemia of oncology at Weill Cornell. And I'll never forget the moment she walked into the room only hours later, and she looked at me and she said, you have cancer. And those words I'll never forget, because I'll tell you, leading up to this point of my life, I've been extremely philanthropic of giving back towards pediatric cancer. And I sat on numerous foundations and charities and spent many days upon days in and out of hospitals working with families and research and development centers, doctors, learning about cancer. Now, here I am hearing what I've heard from a third party for years, you have cancer. I looked the doctor in the face immediately upon hearing it. And I said, Doc, 90% of this battle is going to be my attitude and 10% is going to be your meds. Wow. I have my 90, so you better have your 10. Let's go.
Wow.
And I got it.
There's a lot I don't want to gloss over this because there's a lot of stuff cooking. So the first part of your conversation, the first part of what you were sharing is, I hear a lot of people always say, hey, I want to get to entrepreneurship, that kind of stuff. Doing what we call an intrapreneurship, which is a sales job, we have unlimited income, but you have a structure, you're not on the hook if the business fails. And intrapreneurship is that type of position. A sales guy is there. Sure. So my advice, and I think your advice is too, is you don't have to jump into entrepreneurship to be an entrepreneur. You can do an intrapreneurship. You can do really well with an intrapreneurship, as well as jump into entrepreneurship later. So that's one learning there. Number two, he hooked up with Brad Benson. Sometimes bigger guys and gals have the resources, they don't have the time. They need an operator, just like David's case. So if you are a good operator and you're at the GM level, or you realize you can't, find a money guy and say, listen, I just need your money. I have the time. Remember, they don't have the time, but they have the money. The third is, and Dave could speak to this as well, but leukemia disproportionately affects children. So he probably was very aware of leukemia, what it does, and because it's related to pediatric cancer. I think it's probably the number one pediatric cancer in terms of severity and like I hate to say it's probably morbidity as well, but mortality as well. But with that being said, is he got thrown a really big curve. So I hate to say, I just wanted to kind of because it brought that farther. I just wanted to kind of check in and unpack those things. So continue to go. What happened next?
No. So, I mean, look, incredible. So what happened next was, like every other obstacle in my life, you have two choices. You could deal with it head on and create a positive state of mind and kind of reset your mindset, or you can live in that moment of really allowing that to take over you. Right. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest problem today. And it's been one of the biggest problems is people have to learn to adjust in order to reset their positive state of mind, because we're going to get thrown curveballs throughout our entire life in many different areas of the arena. And it's just learning how to deal with it. So moral of the story is voluntarily discharged myself from the hospital. Wow. I don't know. Within 3 weeks later, ran that Boston Marathon. I was on chemotherapy for 5 years. Okay. 5 years straight from that time of discharge. My wife and I decided that being on this chemotherapy would not be the proper course of action for me for the rest of my life. There really is no cure for leukemia, or the leukemia that I was diagnosed with. So in 2017, we voluntarily chose to come off the chemotherapy. And I'll tell you, one of the most incredible moments of my entire life was going back for my first exam. Okay, my first exam, my first blood test after voluntarily coming off chemotherapy. And the doctor calling me in a room and saying, I need to go back and take that test again.
Wow.
So I go back in, I take that test again, and she comes out about 2 hours later and says, I don't know what to say, but you're undetectable. We cannot find the leukemia. And I am lucky to say, and thankfully blessed to say, they still have not found it to this day.
Wow.
So here I am living, I would say, cancer-free, leukemia-free, and I put a lot of that towards the work, put towards clearing my positive state of mind and really redirecting my mindset and having a great support system. I think that's key as well. Having people around you that are positive, that want to help you maintain that positivity on a daily basis, because it's tough. And I feel bad for everyone around the world that has to hear those three scary words. You have cancer. Yeah. But the key component is to immediately direct yourself to a positive state of mind, because attitude is probably your best key component towards beating it.
David, I'm with you on the positive affirmation. Like, there's been studies done where like a grandmother will have like terminal cancer and like a week to live, but the granddaughter's wedding is in 6 months and like died shortly after. So there's like medical studies. This isn't like voodoo hocus pocus, right? But I do believe in the positive affirmations, and I do believe the medication kicked in. What did you do physiologically? Did you change your diet? Did you, what did you do physiologically to also battle it on your end? I'm curious about that.
Look, that's a great question. And like anything in life, it's about getting ahead of something. Yeah. Look, I'm not where I am today because I teamed up with the right person, because I went with the right money guy, because I walked through the right door. None of that I could say. Look, I've had great resources throughout my life, but a lot of it is the time you're willing to put into it, right? Due diligence. I'm a firm believer of due diligence. You cannot sit back. So what did I do? Just like I've done with everything in my life. I'm not afraid to read more than anyone else. I'm not afraid to research more than anyone else. And look, it was the simple things. It was more the simple things than the hard things, right? Yeah. Stay away from sugar, stay away from dairy, the things that cancer like to attack. Work, have a better daily regimen of working out, of clearing your mind, meditating, learning balance throughout life, right? I was that entrepreneur that I always acted as if, and I want you to remember those words.
Act as if. Yeah.
That is something that I've done since 9 years old, right? I'm going to take you back even further. When I was 9 years old, my father left. My mother fell into a state of depression. 2 older brothers, both of them left. I was on my own at 9. So it was either social services takes me and I go grow up in a foster home, or I act as if pretty quickly, right? I act as if I'm a big boy. Yeah. And no more 9-year-old, right? So that was pretty quick. That was a quick way to grow up.
I can't even imagine.
Well, I mean, you have to imagine it, right? Because it's something that you have to choose at that point in your life, and it's just it was something that really helped get me to where my next level of life was going to take me. So when I say act,
really quick, I have ADD, forgive me, and I want you to finish your thought, but I want to say something really important though. You sorry, we got the baby playing with the games here. You really, and this is the most. If you could watch 8 seconds of the show when David said, act as if and take control of your life. Keep going. Sorry.
And I utilize that all the time, act as if, right? So when I started my first sales job in 1997, what did I do? In my mind, I pulled up to that car dealership every day and I acted as if my name was on the building. And every day I was the first one in that building, last one out of that building, because I acted as if it was mine. Yeah. And that eventually led to another one becoming mine. And I've done that throughout my entire life. Act as if, because if you act as if, you're going to eventually manifest and create what you want. And it's such a key component towards everything and anything in life. So there's really no secret. I do love the secret, but there's really no secret to it. It's effort, it's attitude, it's creating that positive state of mind to eventually create what you want. I always say, right? You have 2 options in life. You could sit back and watch others do it, or you could turn your vision into reality. The choice is yours.
Now, there's a ton of learning here, but and again, I want you guys to unpack this yourself too, because there's like subsets of how you can do it. This brings us to 2017, right? So now you have a clean bill of health. I'm guessing, although like your career still probably continued, that obviously you have distractions along the way. Now that
Sure.
you had a clean bill of health, right? What did you do next? And what did you you're on borrowed time at that point in a way. So how did that affect your decision-making process? And what was your next big business move?
Sky's the limit at that point. Great question, right? Obviously, even though from my diagnosis standpoint, all the way up to, coming off of chemotherapy and being essentially cancer-free, it was still there, right? I still thought about it every day, right? There was a reminder, a daily reminder, multiple times a day. Once that reminder was gone, and I learned not to fear loss. That's another key component in business and life, right? Not to fear loss. And it sounds easier, I guess, than it is to do. But once you learn not to fear that loss and you get through that hurdle, it opens up opportunities for you personally, individually. That's absolutely incredible. I literally said to myself, and I was enjoying life. I mean, I had a place in Malibu, California. I was going back and forth to the East Coast every week. I was playing golf a few times a week. And at that point, I was like, I'm living a great life. But you know what I did? I'll tell you what I did. I sat back one morning at about 5 a.m. in my dark office without turning a light or a TV on. I'm sitting in my office chair, similar to like this right now. And I said, what's next? Wow. And I said, I want to create something big. I want to create something big. I want to, for me, it's about legacy, right? I want a legacy. I want to leave that legacy behind. Look, there's athletes that are great athletes. Then there's athletes that are legacy driven, right? People that you're always going to remember, like this gentleman behind, right? I mean, it's
Mickey Mantle.
That is not Mickey Mantle.
Joe D.
Joe D.
Yeah,
right?
Joe D,
That's Joe D. Right? That's a legacy player.
I'm sorry, Mickey Mantle was lefty, and Joe D was switch. And the fact that I didn't get that was Joe D, hit the dislike button on me because I deserve it.
At the end of the day, literally, I said to myself, I want to create something magnificent. So I always loved the merger and acquisition industry.
Yes.
Okay. I learned a lot about it from being being an investor in businesses, getting into the business, getting out of the business, the basic concept. Nothing on a large level, but I wasn't afraid to research more than anyone else. I wasn't afraid to self-teach myself because that's kind of been my mindset my whole life. So I either sleep from 9 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'm reading till 3 a.m. in the morning and waking up at 5 a.m. because I do believe, I do believe that it's important to put in the time to be able to be good at something. So I got into the merger and acquisition industry in 2015.
Beautiful.
2017, I created at that time what was the second largest merger and acquisition in the automotive space, right behind Warren Buffett. I didn't mind taking second place to him. It was an incredible
place to be. Yeah.
Not a bad place to be. It was an incredible acquisition. And that kind of at that point, the fire, just like it was like I felt it. Like I closed that acquisition October of 2017. And
what was your first deal? Were you buy side client or sell side? And what was your first deal?
Great question. It was a Prime Automotive Group. It wasn't my first deal, but it was the first mega acquisition. I mean, I'm talking magnificent.
How many stores for the acquirer?
30 plus dealerships.
Whoa.
It was a monster acquisition in
That's
the
not
New
a
England.
small deal. And then who did they acquire?
It was Prime Automotive Group that was acquired. It was an incredible acquisition.
Oh, you had a 30-unit store acquired.
Wow. Yeah, it was. I think at that time 34 dealerships acquired. It was an incredible acquisition. Nice. So I finished this deal. The deal takes about a year to start.
I was going to say that's not 6 weeks.
I finished the deal and I said, okay, what's next? And that's where the thought process of Dave Cantin Group, DCG Acquisitions came about. So what did I do at that point? I literally went around the entire country and I interviewed with hundreds of individuals, the greatest executives from the automotive manufacturers, the greatest merger and acquisition automotive attorneys, the greatest automotive CPAs and accountants, the greatest Wall Street financial individuals that were coming out of Wall Street at the time, former dealer principals or current dealer principals that owned car dealerships but wanted something bigger and better, a change. And I literally handpicked one of what I believe to be the best team a company could ever build. And that team is still with me today. We have a revolving door isn't even the word. We're only adding staff and we keep adding staff and we have an incredible team nationwide. This year we're going to, it's so incredible to even say this, but we're going to more than double our actual annual goal. And we're going to finish over 40 closed acquisitions this year, billions of dollars in revenue. And it's just absolutely incredible because every one on my team, They don't need that daily jumpstart. They love it just as much as I do, if not more. And they always say, surround yourself with better people. Like, you gotta really ask yourself, when you watch some people and they create victories, how do they do it? Right. Bill Belichick, right? I'm a diehard Jets fan. I've been a Jets fan my whole life. It's sad, right? It's sad, but I've always been inspired by Bill Belichick.
Of course,
because here's a guy,
former Giants coach,
former Giants defensive coach, right? But I've always been so impressed by him because he knows that he has to surround his talent with better talent, and eventually that talent rises to the top, right? They say cream rises, and he's always found a way to really make that happen, and that's what I've learned to do in my industry.
So, okay. So you've been generous with your time, and I know you're a busy guy, but this is where, two things. One is, and I'm going to have you back on because I want to follow your progression. Hopefully you'll accept the invite, which I think you will.
Sure.
One thing is I'm noticing, and in my interview, I kind of do a lot of like guys and gals are like, how did you make it? And what did you do? And let's unpack. And like, I'm now migrating towards, now that you have made it, right? And I know you're probably in your mind, you're at 10% where you want to be, but relative to the population, you're doing really well, right? So when do you know now, Dave Cantin, to ask what's next? That's what I'd like to know.
That's an incredible question because I challenge myself every day, right? If you want to really know what's next for me is the ability to give back. It's teaching my children at a young age how important it is to give. Yeah. It's utilizing the success within all my companies to be able to give back. We spend a lot of time in a really incredible philanthropic way to give. We involve all of our clients. Every acquisition that we close, no matter where it is nationwide, we contribute and strictly donate. We don't raise money. Okay, we strictly donate a percentage of that acquisition to a local childhood cause of where we close the acquisition. But it's really easy. I want to be able to give more. I want to be able to do more. So in order to give more and do more, I have to internally raise the bar for the company. I need to always challenge myself, challenge my team. And I'm not ready to check it in. I mean, I'm turning 42 next week. I'm a young guy. I've been at it already for, I've been at it over 30 years already, but I'm still hungry. I'm as hungry as I ever been. And the one thing I'll tell you, I'm becoming more wise. With age, right, you become more mature, you learn more, you become more methodical. And what I'm learning to do better today than ever is to create greater balance. And balance is the key to life.
Now, last question is, and I always, and this will probably resonate as well with you, is I've done okay. Like, I cannot complain. I got my beautiful fiance. I got 3 beautiful children. I got a great life. I work from home. I have my own stuff. Like it's almost embarrassing if there's ever a day that I'm like, you know what, I'm not blessed. So like, I'm thankful every day, and you can hopefully hear it in the inflection of my voice, right?
I see.
But I've also made some mistakes where I could have done a lot better, right? A lot better, probably like about 3-4x better, right? So I'm obviously going to find that balance of, hey, I want to get there without compromising, who I am. But when do you start thinking about legacy? Because I'm not there yet. So like, when do you start thinking about legacy?
Legacy has nothing to do with about your bank book. It doesn't, legacy is not about your financial wherewithal. Yeah. Legacy is about what your purpose is to give back. It's creating that legacy. It's how you want to be remembered. It's what you want to leave behind. Yeah. It's what you want others to carry on for you. It doesn't matter if you have $10 in the bank or 10 million in the bank. Yeah. What really matters is what you choose to do with it. What you choose to direct that to be done with. It's not just about money. Money, look, at the end of the day, we all, anyone that says that they've experienced success without failure, they're lying. Okay, we all make mistakes. Those mistakes make us better. My son plays competitive baseball at a very high level. And I always say to my son, every time they lose a game, I say, you're going to learn more from this loss than you will from the win. And he always looks at me the same way, like with a weird look on his face. And I say, David, you're going to experience adversity. That adversity is one of the greatest lessons life could offer. The internal feeling of loss, because that loss is going to make you even stronger every day you step onto that field, every day you go out to practice. Same thing in business. When you experience a loss in business, or when you understand that a mistake has happened, it's the lesson learned from that mistake. Right? It's the lesson learned from what we might want to call failure that's going to make you become even more successful.
Amazing. Dave, I had high hopes for this interview. And I'm talking really high hopes. You exceeded as such. I'm rooting for you. The fact that you have a Jersey guy such as yourself doing it, making good deals. Dave Cantin Group is a powerhouse. Appreciate you coming on the New Theory podcast. And I'll give you the final words to share with our audience.
I appreciate you having me. This was a great pleasure. When I got a call to come on here, I was pretty excited myself. So thank you so much. And always let us know when we could do this. I think it's really fun. And, you know, I want to go back to what you were saying as far as, you know, you could have been 3x more. Look at it as you are already 3x more. Okay. You know, you're living an incredible life. Life isn't about gathering things. It's about pure happiness. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna end with this. Yeah. People ask me all the time when I speak, what's your definition of success? Yeah. And that's so simple. It's not the watches. It's not the suits. It's not the cars. It's not anything. You know what it is? Pure happiness. When you reach the level of pure happiness, when nothing matters, when you don't fear loss, when you're really happy, you're now successful. You've reached that level.
I love it. And make it sustainable. So Dave Cantin, check it out. How can we find you if people looking for you?
DaveCantinGroup.com, DaveCantin.com. I welcome everyone to take a look at our website, and we're always here to help in any way we can.
Love it, Dave. We'll be in touch. Have a great one.
Stay healthy, stay safe.